So it's now 2024, and Classic has seen a huge resurgence over the last few years. So I wanted to spend some time in the game, relive the nostalgia, relax and immerse myself in the world of Azeroth, far away from the competitive FPS games that I've been playing. So sit back, relax, and spend some time with me as we dive into World of Warcraft Classic. So I, like most people, originally chose a Night Elf Hunter, so I'm going to do the same today. It just so happens that the solo leveling experience for Hunters is one of the better ones. As a Night Elf, you are dropped into Shadowglen, a serene starter zone nestled in the boughs of the great tree Teldrassil. There is a distinctive Night Elf architecture. Most buildings and features are made from the environment around them. We see a lot of purple, blue and green hues, and just take a listen to the music. A relaxing leveling experience for anyone. So after sorting out my UI to look more familiar, I pick up my first quest to kill night sabers and boars.
That's why we need to just log in and stay in the forest, killing boars.
The experience is slightly alien at first, having played retail WoW a few years ago, where there is no ammunition and auto-attacking at range can simply be right-clicked. But I slowly get back into the groove, dusting off how to kite enemies. Within a couple of minutes, the quest has already been completed, and I am gifted 2 more. At this stage, I have some junk in my inventory that I want to sell, and I have a quest taking me into Aldershil, the building atop the tree you see in front of me, so let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone. As I climb the side of the tree, we pass in front of our first fellow Night Elf, Quasi, who, without knowing at this point, will play an important part in our story down the line. I love the way the lights are integrated into branches, almost like the tree is providing us with light, with purpose. Then nestled atop the tree we find Ayana to take this sigil from us and complete the quest. I then take a sneaky shortcut down the side of the tree before we go to sell my loot and pick up some extra arrows. Now ammunition is so important for hunters, and without it they can feel very poor indeed. I might be foreshadowing something there. After completing a few more simple quests, I'm tasked with heading to the Northwest Cave, where you can find spiders. Now these are the first enemies we encounter that will aggro to me if I get too close, so I need to keep my wits about me. While fighting spiders, I also need to speak to Iveron hiding in the hills. Now in Classic WoW he could easily be missed, as there isn't a handy quest guide like there is in retail. Reading the quest dialogue is therefore super important. But luckily I have done this hundreds of times. I finish killing the spiders and go to hand in both quests. Here I get the choice of my first weapon upgrade and choose the Thistlewood dagger, since this is actually the only weapon I can use at this point. You see, in Classic you have to buy the ability to use other weapons, and you are limited by the weapons you can choose based on what class you chose, so unfortunately it's a dagger for me. Once again, I need to head back to the cave in the northwest you saw me at earlier, this time to get some spider's eggs from a particularly strong spider called Githias the Vile. Along the way, I can gather some ingredients to help my friend Iveron. The cave can prove challenging for a new starter, but with a little bit of caution I make my way through and take out Githias with relative ease. Before pilfering his eggs. Sorry. I can then Hearthstone back, but unfortunately this is on a 1 hour cooldown, so need to be careful when I use this. I make the antidote for Iveron and we encounter our first timed quest. I have 5 minutes to get this antidote to Iveron or he dies. Oh, I'm only joking, I have to start the quest again, but 5 minutes is more than enough to make my way to him. While on my way back, I fill up a vial for Teneron atop Aldrassil, and that is all of the quests completed in Shadowglen. I am now level 6, allowing me to buy some more spells, which I will need as we have to venture out of the protected confines of Shadowglen. On the way, I bump into Porthanius, who asked me to make a delivery to Dolinar, which is the next town on our journey. As we leave Shadowglen, the true scale of this colossal tree starts to present itself. I remember the feeling of awe I once had as a child experiencing this for the first time. Now in town, we can start to find some profession tutors, so I pick up cooking as this is super valuable in Classic and critical to pick up early. As a hunter, I also want to pick up skinning and leatherworking, both super valuable skills. So I forego completing some quests and head out of town to pick up leatherworking on the outskirts. Next on my list of quests is to find Delanan at Lake Alameth to the southeast. He asked me to get some timberling seeds and sprouts, which requires me to eliminate timberlings and effectively steal their young. I never said this game wasn't brutal, but seriously, these things look hella creepy. I'm now at a point where I have multiple quests. Should I take out the gnarl pine, head to the cave to the north, or eliminate the local wildlife? I decide to go to the gnarl pine as I can take out wildlife on the way, and I'll leave the cave till later. With those quests completed in relatively quick succession, it's time to enter the aforementioned cave with hostile enemies. This time, it's Grell. They can quickly outnumber you, so I need to be cautious. But as I enter the cave, I bump into Quasi, the player we bumped into earlier, and we decide to team up, ripping through enemies with our combined might. But disaster strikes. I accidentally attack Thregil, who is a rare spawn, denoted by the silver border. These are typically stronger than other enemies, and we pull 2 other enemies with him. So some tricky positioning and LOS get us through the fight, and we pick up a sword. Amazing, right? But neither of us can actually equip the sword, since this is classic. We press on and take out Melena with relative ease, and taking their head to complete the quest. Remember, when I said ammunition is critical for a hunter, well, it appears I'm out of practice, as before we exit the cave, I run out and have to melee for the remainder. And that's where we will end Chapter 1. We end things at level 8, and with Quasi at our side, we are well prepared to continue with our adventure. Stay tuned for the next chapter, as we start to encounter some rare gear and unlock the true potential of the hunter class. As a side note, if you watched all the way to the end of this video, thank you for sticking with me. Leave a like if you like these kind of videos, it takes a lot of time, planning and effort to publish.